Hey everyone, welcome to day 9, Math 133. I rearranged a few things. So today, we're not going to cover the Chapter 4 project yet. We're going to cover the cumulative review number 2. Okay. So last time we were here, uh, there is a Chapter 4 project survey that you need to go and fill out. That Chapter 4 project survey is due today at 6, but if you turn it in by midnight, that's fine. So I realized, oh, if people don't have to have it done yet, it's going to be hard to use that data. And also, we had some access issues. So make sure you go and fill that out because that Chapter 4 project survey, it is worth points. And I haven't gone through and graded it yet, but you're going to go to that survey and you're going to enter your name. You're going to enter the length of your forearm. So you're going to measure that and then enter your height. Make sure you put it in centimeters. Okay. And then, yeah. So once you've done that, we're going to use that data for the Chapter 4 project number 2. And we're not going to do the Chapter 4 project number 2 today. As I said, I rearranged some things, so we're going to do the Chapter 4 project 2 on Tuesday. Okay, so should have everybody's results by then. So instead, today, we are going to do cumulative review number 2. That worksheet is on page 416 in your course pack. And the cumulative review covers chapters 1 through 4. So we've already finished chapter 4, so we're good to go here. This cumulative review will be helpful for doing your studying for the midterm. The midterm is coming up. It is on October 16th, and we'll talk a little bit more as it gets a little bit closer, but make sure you have that time off. You have that time set aside. You've got, a plan in place. So if you can't take it on October 16th, that's okay. You can take it at the testing center on Jackson's campus, October 14, 15, 16, or 17. Okay. Anyway, though, today we're just going to do the cumulative review, page 416. Don't forget to do the lecture notes, 5.2. Cindy is going to be using that material on Monday for a worksheet, so try to get that done by Monday. So the lecture notes, it's easy to fall behind in this class, okay? And so some people are right now behind on the lecture notes, also behind on some of the other assignments. So uh, you are allowed to work ahead on the lecture notes. So if you have things coming up, like you can see that, one of our days is going to be October 30th. If you're like, oh, I've got Halloween plans, or, if you got Thanksgiving plans, you're allowed to work ahead on the lecture notes. That is the best way to keep from falling behind. Some people have asked about extra credit. We don't do extra credit. This class, last semester, the majority of people passed this class with a 4.0 and an A, right? So uh, this class is definitely passable as long as you keep up, okay? So uh, feel free to work ahead, use this weekend, get ahead, right? And make sure you turn in anything that's late. Uh, After it's 3 weeks late, I will no longer accept it. And we are at that point now where some of our assignments have started to be, 3 weeks ago. Okay. So if you haven't turned something in, get it done. Okay. All right, cool. So cumulative review worksheet number 2 is on page 416 in your course pack. And just like our normal worksheets, just like any of our worksheets, I'm going to give you some hints on where to find how to do these problems so that as you're studying for the midterm, you can see, how we accomplished these. Okay. Um, so this first page, I am not going to give you any hints because I think you can do it without. So I'm only going to give you hints on the ones that I think are pretty challenging. So uh, page 417, in 2018, the CDC published a report about binge drinking among people in the US. Applying frequency distribution shows a sample of bin shrinkers based on income. So we're going to fill all this information in, okay? So there is a Google Sheet that has this. So if you click on the cumulative review worksheet in Canvas, it'll have a spot where it says this link. You click on that. That brings you to this Google document we've seen before that has all the links for all the worksheets, and we need this Google Sheet. I'll drop it here in the chat as well so that you guys don't have to go hunting for it. And additionally, there is a link to StatCrunch. I will give you that link as well. Oh, that's fine. Just remember to sign in, and you can see that this has all of those numbers already in there for us. Okay. All right. So yeah, there is a Google Doc for this. Okay. Um, all right, so we're gonna fill all that in. Um, that's fine. So part C right here, page 96 has a really great description in your notes on left skewed, right skewed versus symmetric. Although we're not saying left skewed or right skewed here, we're saying negatively skewed and positively skewed. If something is negatively skewed, do you think that's skewed left or skewed right?
Skewed left.
Skewed left. Yep, on a number line, the negative numbers are to the left. This will be right. Okay. All right, cool. So down here, percent, remember percent is wanted outcomes versus your total. Okay, so you're going to divide those. And this one, part I, you'll find that on page 254. And we had three methods for calculating means and standard deviations. Page 254 is part of your lecture note, sorry, exam notes that you're allowed to take. Yours is yellow. I didn't get a fancy yellow one. That's okay. Method one is if you have raw data. Method two is a frequency distribution. Method three is if you have a probability distribution. For this particular question, which method do you think we should be using?
The weighted version 2, I think that's what it is.
Yeah, method two is a frequency distribution. We have frequencies right here, so we're going to do a frequency distribution. So we do stat, summary stats, grouped, binned data. Each of these classes or groups is a bin, okay? So page 254, method two, okay? By the way, so we do that in StatCrunch. So here is the data in StatCrunch. You'll have to fill in your midpoints. Some people have said that they've lost access to StatCrunch. So if that's the case, feel free to we can talk about it after and see if we can fix it. If you were in the class during the summer, uh, those licenses will expire at some point this fall. So you're going to need to be on a new license. So um, anyway, let me know and we can try working on fixing it. Cindy can help you try to fix it as well. But you're definitely going to need StatCrunch for the midterm. So as I've said before, make sure that you have that username and password saved somewhere so you're going to be able to remember it. Okay. Because you don't want to show up to the midterm and be like, oh, I can't get into StatCrunch because at that point it's going to be too late. We're not going to be able to fix it then. So, all right. On page 418 now, CDC analyzes the cigarette usage, percent of adults who smoke, and the average life expectancy in all the US states. So this is a linear regression, but instead of giving us two quantitative columns and having us compute it, they've already done the stat crunch for us. Okay, so here's the results, and each dot here represents what? Each dot represents a binge drinker. What does each dot represent? A person?
A person who smokes.
So that's a good guess. CDC analyzes the cigarette usage rate and average life expectancy in all the US states in 2022. So what does each dot represent? A
A
state.
state.
Yep, I'll give you a hint. There's 50 of them. There's 50 dots. So each dot represents a state. So for example, maybe Hawaii's right here, and Hawaii has 10% cigarette usage and 78-year life expectancy. So its dot is going to be right there. Okay. Okay. Um, skip past this. Equation, the regression line. Yeah, yeah, yeah. All right. Interpret the coefficient of determination. You'll find that on page 255 at the bottom. Page 255 at the bottom. Let's take a look at that. Formal interpretation of the coefficient of determination. So you write it out as a percent of the total variation. You write out the name of the y values is explained by the least squares regression line. Okay? So there's a script right there. Um, okay, great. The last page for today is page 419, and we're sticking with the cigarettes versus life expectancy. Find the slope of the regression line and explain what it means in the context of the situation. So explain what it means is the same as interpret. We want a sentence. You'll find that on page 255 in the middle. Pretty much everything for chapter 4 is at page 255. So right here, slope. If x increases by 1 unit, then y is expected to either increase or decrease by approximately slope units. Okay. This a is the slope. Okay. So that's what we'll write out here. By the y-intercept of the regression line, you remember that the y-intercept is where the x value is 0. So it's a point on the line where x is 0 and y is some number. That's the b value. Okay, so you'll put that here. Explain why the y-intercept does not make sense. So sometimes the y-intercept does, and there's a interpretation for that. Most of the time, y-intercept makes no sense, so you just write impossible for what? Right? So if x is 0, what does that mean? Okay. For Michigan, x is 18.7, blah, blah, blah. So interpret both values in the context of the situation. There's not a script for this. This is just, use logic. Just write out what that means, okay? Write it in your own words. Michigan's actual life expectancy was 75.7. Find the residual. So you'll find that page 255 at the bottom. So that is the actual y value minus the predicted y value. Okay, so the actual y value, Michigan's actual number is this. This is what we measured. Okay, the y value is going to be calculated here. That's your expectation or your prediction. Okay, so be careful for this next question when you're trying to answer This one. This one hung up people a little bit last time, so pay attention to that, okay? And then identify one potential lurking variable for the situation. There could be more than one. That's fine, okay? All right, so let's jump back to the start and let's fill in this worksheet starting on page 416.